Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Callie. This is my channel. It's super random. Today is no different because I want to talk about forgiveness. I kind of actually want to get people's insight, opinion, advice, or even experience. So if you are new to the channel, make sure you take a minute, hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, hi to everyone who's been with me. Thanks for coming in and stopping in to see this video. So yeah, today's topic is on forgiveness. So basically my, I guess, question or I don't even know what you want to call it, but I guess my question is forgiveness the right thing to do? Right? So I'll give you an example. I've been through a lot of really crazy stuff, like one of my ex-boyfriends murdering my dogs, sexual assault, different things like that. And I always thought the right thing was to forgive, right? Makes sense in a way, I suppose. It was kind of really easy for me too, because I could understand why people do the things they do on a psychological level. For an example, the guy who murdered my dog, he was very physically abusive, not just to the dog, but also to me. And the reason he was that way was because he grew up watching his father, really beat up his mother. And the reason why he didn't value the life of animals is because he grew up watching people in his life, his role models, or the adults in his life, actually kill and beat and hurt animals. So all of these things were normal to him, and it wasn't out of character or out of, normacy. It was just like what people do to him. That relationship was helpful in the way that it helped me realize how people's childhood experience has an effect on who they are today, right? That should have been a given, but you don't know that because I was actually reliving my childhood trauma with my mother and one of her ex-husbands, who, was very physically abusive to her, physically abusive to us. And so I was actually like reliving that trauma with him, and he was reliving his trauma with me. And so, it wasn't like because I was like playing the role of victim, he was in the wrong or whatnot. It was, we both had this trauma, and we drew in people who had, someone who had a similar trauma, so where we could work through it. I was able to work through it. I don't really know. He ended up in jail and then got out of jail and then ended up back in jail, and then, lots of crazy stuff. It was actually his brother who died of an overdose January. So on his birthday nonetheless. So anyway. And then one of the guys who sexually assaulted me had actually been really, really sexually abused as a child. Like really sexually abused as a child by men. And so he was trying to, I guess, prove that he wasn't, into men himself, and that resulted in me, which basically I was reliving my childhood sexual trauma. So we both were playing out the same trauma together from our childhood again. So for me, psychologically understanding what these two had gone through, it was easy for me to forgive them. And this was a time when I was on drugs. One of the reasons why I started drugs was after my dog got murdered. I couldn't really handle the emotional pain, the grief, the guilt, the shame from, putting her in that position and all of that. And so that is when I got hooked on drugs. And so when I was coming off of drugs, or not like coming off, I was trying to get sober. This was like 2013. I knew that I had to face this emotional pain on my own. And there was like that 12-step program. I never went to the program, but, this is what happened. I ended up crashing my car in like 2011 with my niece in the car and my 2 dogs. We all were okay, thankfully, but I had put myself into counseling immediately because I was like, okay, this has gotten out of hand. Even though I wasn't on drugs that day, I was really tired. Long story short, I guess. It was like 6 a.m. I had just met my friend for breakfast, and I don't know about you guys, but after I eat, I get like sometimes coma, like food coma. And so yeah, it wasn't even a mile away from home. I fell asleep and hit a mailbox that was cemented in, and then hit a pole, or a light pole. And yeah, maybe I'll show you guys the pictures soon when I go through all the organizing. I still have yet to organize my everything, my computer, my notebooks, all that. Anyway, I'm not gonna rant and rave. So yeah, I put myself into counseling, which is how I learned about the 12-step program, which it is, that structure I think is good. However, it didn't help me get sober. But I did check into the forgiveness idea of it all, And so I forgave these people. The one guy I actually, the one who murdered my dog, and I don't know if this is crazy, but I called him and I told him I forgave him, and he was actually in the same city I was in, and we went out to lunch, and I don't know, I don't really know if I do. So either way, this is my thing. Is forgiveness the right thing? Because if you're forgiving, there is a sense of judgment, right? Okay, I forgive you for what you did. It was wrong, right? Which is giving into the notion that there is right and wrong, right? And that right and wrong is not subjective based on a person's experience, right? Is there objective right and wrong, or are we all subject to our own experiences, our own limitations, our genetics, our nature, our nurture, and is what, for instance, is a guy who, murders people, has a child, and the child helps him then murder people, and the child becomes a murderer. Is what that child doing wrong if that's all he knew and that was normal to him? I mean, it's you get into like some morality questions there, but the question of like judgment of right or wrong, like, is forgiveness the right thing? Now, I'm not saying don't accept. There has to be a level of acceptance to move past. Like, I can accept the things that happened to me, or even that happened to me, the things that I took part in based on my own ignorance and karma. I mean, I don't know. It's really, it's a question that's been stumping me lately, because it's been brought to my attention that forgiveness is not necessarily the healthiest route, because that's putting you into a state of judgment, which judgment is, a form of separation where we're looking at things outside of us. And then is the question, are things outside of us, or is it, everything an external reflection of us? I probably sound crazy ranting and just the psychobabble in my mind. You can tell I'm not physically doing the exors that I probably need to, so it's maybe why I'm in my head a lot. But yeah, I just wanted to, ask you guys that question. What do you guys think of forgiveness? is forgiveness the right thing? Can you forgive people for really terrible things that they do, you know? Because it's forgiveness in a way saying what they did was okay. You can accept it without almost, you know, condoning it. I don't know. It's a question. Would love to get some feedback, see what any one of you guys think about forgiveness, and yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna end it there. It's 10 minutes. I know people don't like to listen to things longer than 3 minutes. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm sure I'll be talking to you soon. Have a good night. Alright.